What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Rise Up Rich podcast. I'm your host, David Haas. I got a special guest in the studio today for podcast number 50, believe it or not. We're moving right along. But here with me today is Lauren Edwards. She is the owner of Pet Values, the local Pet Values here in Windsor. She's also the founder of Charlotte's Freedom Farm. She also brought her dog Rooster in with us today. So we're going to have him as well. But I think Lauren has kind of got a lot to share here. She's a successful business owner. She seems to have the kind of the flow that I talk about a lot kind of figured out, and I want to get into that with her. And I also want to talk about Charlotte's Freedom Farm. I want to talk about being a vegan. There's just a lot that we got to go over. So we'll try and keep it within the hour. But thanks for coming on the podcast. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on hitting number 50.
Yeah, 50.
That's
I know.
awesome.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So let's just dive right into it here, and let's just talk about like how you got started owning Pet Values. I mean, it's kind of a unique business to get into.
Yeah.
And why don't you just kind of give us our story and like where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So after college, I'd originally I'm from Toronto. I came down to Windsor and took the vet tech program, and then switched to business after a year when I realized that working in a vet clinic probably wasn't the route that I wanted to take. So I had moved back home to Toronto, and I worked for Pet Value. I managed a couple of their corporate stores. I did that for about 5 years. And then I had a dog leash company actually from Germany that sort of stole me away, and I was their rep for a year. So I actually visited about 2,000 pet stores across Canada. I was the Canadian sales rep. I would pick a place, either hop in my car, hop on an airplane, fly, visit stores. It was an amazing year. But after that, I figured, I want to do this. I want my own stores. So in 2011, I purchased my first store in June and my second store in December. And that was a difficult year for sure. I had a friend that moved down to Windsor with me. And between the two of us, those first few months, it was the two of us running the store. And, it was open 7 days a week, 12 hours, Monday through Friday. And her and I were there all day, every day. And I mean, that's the story of most people in the beginning of business. You're working really hard to get to the point. Ultimately, for me, it's to the point where I'm at now. But yeah, so I started with the two stores in 2011. And then it was a few years later, 2015, so 4 years later, that I purchased my third store. Wow. So now I have 3 Pet Value franchises that I run. So. And
you so obviously in the beginning, everyone knows, like, and this is where I was with Treehouse when I first started. It was like I was putting in all the hours, I was working probably 12, 15 hours a day. I was similar. We were open from 11 a.m. till 2 a.m. Right. So it was literally
long day.
Oh, it was brutal. Yeah. Right. And I remember putting those long hours in, but in the beginning, especially when you're young, you're like, you're energetic and it's not that big of a deal. If I had to go back and do that now, I would be like, ooh, this would be really tough.
Those would be long days now for sure, and hard on the back standing for that long.
Right, exactly. So, like, what do you think were some of the things that really allowed you to make this shift to the place where you are now? Where I mean, I don't even really know, like, because my wife tattoos you, and we haven't really had an extended conversation. But like, I'm assuming, this is my guess, is that you're in a place where you're kind of like at the top of these, and you're just kind of delegating to your general managers. How did you get to that place where you finally were able to be?
So it was actually the third store that put me that place. When I think people hear 3 stores, think you're so busy. I was busier with 1 and 2 stores because I ran one. So I managed one, and when I had 2, I managed one, and I had someone manage the second. Buying that third store brought me to a place where I was able to have a manager at each store. So that put another sort of layer between me and sort of the day-to-day problems. So at this point, my managers have been around for 2 of them are over 5 years they've been with me. So they know the stores, they know what I like to see, what I expect when I come in, and I'm at a point where I can let them, when it comes to hiring, scheduling, I do the ordering. I'm not at the point yet where I'm ready to let anyone spend that much money every week, but the stores are really at a point where the managers have great control, and then each store has a manager, a full timer, and then
so it was actually like expanding that allowed you to move you into this delegation mode. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And that's what I've learned. The more I'm able to expand, I can create new opportunities and then find the right people to fill them.
Yep.
And then I find myself going, wow, I've got a lot of time again. And that's when I sort of look at, okay, how to expand next. And the goal at this point is absolutely, as I expand, I find people to take over the new things and then I sort of oversee. But
what was the biggest challenge when you first kind of like moved into that role? Like as like the going from like, because I know for me, it was like at Trios, I was doing everything. Like I always say, like I could do anything at Trios. I could cook pizza, I could bounce, I could bus run, I could bartend, I could serve tables, clean toilets if I had to, like whatever. I could do it all, right? And so when I had to step into the role of like trying to find someone to do that, be me, it was very, very difficult.
It is. And with me, it was having the multiple locations. I really had to accept that I couldn't be in multiple places at once. So I had to find good people and treat them right and pay them well and try to, the managers the goal is that they are around I want to keep them happy and keep them around because they're ultimately the front line of my stores and but.
Where do you find challenges in, I know one of the challenges that I faced was like when I made that original step away, it was like I had this expectation that everyone that I hired was going to be exactly like me, and then you come to realize really quickly that that's an unrealistic expectation.
No, because it's yours too. You will always, you're the one thinking about it 24/7, and it's your baby, it's your passion, and as much as you can find great people that care, it's yours. So there's always going to be that difference. But finding good people is, like, for me, that has been everything. Finding good people and treating them right and giving them the opportunities and not being right over them, letting them make the mistakes and learn, and teaching them to fit into the position where I need them to be and letting them grow into that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said that very quickly, but it's like, I think that was key. Is like, you got to let people make their own mistakes,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those mistakes cost you money sometimes, right? So,
but I make mistakes too. So that's where I would look at, there's a big difference between a mistake and a really bad decision too, I find. And I make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, it's learning.
Yes.
So.
Amazing. So it's about just kind of recontextualizing mistakes and being like, hey, they're never going to make that mistake again. I remember, I'll give you a sailing story. It's like I have a sailboat and I remember one time I used to crew on another boat and I hooked up the spinnaker, which is like the big parachute sail, and I hooked that up like backwards. So when we hoisted it, it was like sideways. And the guy that I was sailing with was like, well, you'll never make that mistake again. Yep. And it was like, that was exactly it, right? And then, someone made that same mistake on my boat and I said the exact same thing. So I think it's just a recontextualizing those mistakes. And as long as you're taking care of people, they're gonna care and, make sure they don't do the same thing
exactly.
twice. Yeah, right. Yeah. I have a couple more questions about the business because I'm just curious, like with regards to leadership, and I don't know how much you've thought about this, but my guess is that people are just kind of like, you're a good person, and people are drawn to that. So I think that helps, just like leading by example. But is there any other things that you have found to be very effective with regards to leading people and keeping them motivated?
I think I'm lucky partially because with the industry, we're all animal lovers. So you're keeping people motivated and like you said, they see that I'm doing this because I love animals. So it's not for the money. You know what? I think that is a big thing, seeing that I'm spending my free time out rescuing animals and we hire people that are animal lovers too. It's pet values. So I think that's huge for sure.
Yes. 100%.
Sorry, I got distracted there by the dog.
Mid-conversation
or mid-sentence.
Yeah. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. Is that especially like when you're hiring people that are coming from a place of compassion, you're going to end up getting better people.
Exactly.
Right? It's just because they're in that state and they want to help.
And they care about the customers and the customers' pets, and they truly, like, they're doing it for the right reason. They're there for the right reason. It's not just for a paycheck. They're there because they love animals. They want to learn. We teach them, the staff, a lot, and then they're able to pass that on to the customers.
Like, Brie and I customers of Pet Value, obviously, but we were customers even before we knew you. And the reason being was just because when we go into your stores, like people are always so friendly, and you got that big fat cat running around and I pet him, and it's just, you could just tell that it's like there used to be a Home Hardware on Seminole Street that I thought was really well managed, because like literally you'd walk in that door and they'd be like, how can I help you, right? It was like there wasn't this searching for hours through endless aisles, and I would literally go there instead of going to Home Depot where it might be a little bit cheaper or whatever else, just because of that service was amazing. And
absolutely.
And like I think that just happened, that at your store it seems to be like really natural. It's not like it's something that you had to force. It just like or maybe you did, I don't know.
No, they really care about your pets, and the more you come in and they get to know you and the pets, truly, like they'll think about things when you're not, like, you know what I mean? A pet will leave a week later, they'll think, oh, I wonder how little Tommy's doing, and because they truly care, and they care about the stories that the customers tell them. And I think it makes such a different atmosphere and work environment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. And you can feel it when you walk into the store. So so I mean, if you're not a Pet Value customer, I would definitely go check it out, because you can feel the vibe as soon as you walk through the door. Let me ask you another question, because where we live in the Riverside area, where your store is, recently a PetSmart opened up close. So how did you deal with that competition coming in?
There's no doubt that hurt all three of my stores. Okay. If you look where we kind of make a triangle, and they opened right in the middle of the triangle.
Yeah, right.
So we really focused on being locally owned and small, and that relationship with the customers, because that is what we can offer that the bigger stores can't, for sure. And in the end, as much as right when they opened, we definitely saw a drop. A lot of the customers are coming back just for that one-on-one service. And it's a different atmosphere. Yes. It really is. I can't believe how many customers I feel like are like friends with the staff. They come in just because they're walking by and want to give a quick update, or pop in on a daily walk with their dog. And it's such a community driven, like, especially like my first store is in Riverside, and Riverside is this amazing little community where everyone is so supportive of each other. It is. And it was originally, the store was on Lozon and actually moved over to Wyandotte. Oh, okay. So when I first bought it, it was a tiny little store beside Little Caesars on Lozon there. But I still see all the customers that came those first couple of years when I was there, the 12-hour days, and they still ask about my dog, who's 16 now and doesn't come, but used to come every day with me, my older dog, Ellie. And like, I still have customers that I'm friends with that I just met just from being in the store all those hours. So it's a different industry than any other.
And that's what set you apart from the big guy, like PetSmart, right? Is that one-on-one attention. And I think naturally people were gonna, this happens in the bar industry all the time. Like, I'm the oldest bar downtown Windsor, and new bars open, and we might experience.
Gotta check it out.
Yeah, we might experience a dip for a little bit, but then slowly people start to come back because they realize they're getting the service and the value that we try and provide. So I think as a business owner, that's just something to keep an eye out for. Is like when competition comes around, it's all good, and then you just keep doing what you do. Like I don't know about you, but I am like, I only focus on what I do. Like I don't even look at my competition.
No, unless they have a really good idea. Overall, exactly. Focus on and do a great job with what you're doing, and that's what will get people back. Absolutely. But they'll test out the new thing for sure.
Definitely. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about somewhere along this transition. You have a love for animals, and this is why you get into the company. Somewhere along this path, you transition and you become a vegan, right? So let's just talk about that a little bit and how that came about. Yeah,
this was a bigger change in my life than I ever could have imagined. Right. So I think same as a lot of vegans, I was vegetarian for a long time before. There's no doubt it was one girl who pretty much, I don't want to say called me out on it, but just opened my eyes and said, you're not as big of an animal lover as you think you are if you're not vegan. And I kind of went, well, what do you mean? And she goes, you are still supporting so much suffering and death. And I remember the day that I said to her, well, why can't I wear wool? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And she said, well, and it comes down to so much more. And the fact that there's only one male really required in the farm to breed with a whole bunch of female sheep. So all the males that are born end up in the meat industry. They go to veal. So she goes, the industry, as much as me wearing that wool item, yes, that female sheep wasn't killed for the wool to come off of her, but the way the industry works, the male sheep that are born aren't useful. So there's just so much more. And then just the way they live, the lack of vet care, the environments they live in. And once you start learning about all that, I mean, for me, going vegan at that point was a no-brainer. It was, once I knew, it was, oh, okay, well, this is a new exciting challenge now. But it was a girl that opened my eyes to it. I didn't realize, I just hadn't really put the thought into it to really think about, because when you think about eggs and milk and wool and stuff like that, you don't see that it does harm animals, because you know,
it's not like a chicken on your table. Yeah.
So you think they're just, and then, you know, sheep grow wool and cows can produce milk, but there's just so much more than that. We're in fact taking the milk that the cow is producing for her baby. So what's the baby getting? And the babies are all pulled and fed a formula. And these are just things that I never...
Or they're taken for veal.
Or they're taken for veal, yeah. So we adopted a calf at the farm, and I mean, what a life-changing moment, because he was a dairy calf. So while I was feeding him a bottle of milk, humans were drinking the milk that his mom had ultimately made for him. And it's very eye-opening. The more you learn. So for me, it was an easy transition mentally, and then not being a chef, it was a little bit difficult, you know, 5-6 years ago, finding food, but now the options are endless.
Right. And I you know, when did you go veg?
So I'd say it's about 6 years, 6.5 years now.
Oh, you've been vegan 6.5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So veg 10 or more years.
Oh, okay.
Long time.
Because I went veg in 2005, right? And so when I went veg, there was like literally, you couldn't get a vegetarian item anywhere.
No, you were salad and fries.
Oh,
everywhere you went, you would have salad and fries.
Yeah. So now though, because of the movement of vegetarianism and veganism, plant-based, whatever it may be, I mean, everything, you can get fast food everywhere. And like, that's one of the things I've been, you know, kind of observing, is that, you know, people are doing vegetarianism and vegan wrong, you know, because it's just like the availability of these highly produced foods, you know. So, sorry.
No, that's okay. That was just an alarm, and I should have put that up. No, for sure. The unhealthy vegan food options have skyrocketed. Yeah. Like now, the fast food burger, A&W, KFC, you can get your fast food burgers. They have.
Yeah. So now, so the reason I bring it up is it's like now, because before, like when I went veg, I literally lost 25 pounds. Like I was I was a purebred, you know, meat eater, meat and potatoes kind of guy. And then I went right straight, like I went actually vegan for a month at the time. And like I lost 25 pounds, and it just like the weight just like melted off of me. And it was because I had no choice but to go to the grocery store and cook food, you know, because I literally, I remember saying there is no fast food that I can get. Like there was no veggie burgers, there was nothing. It was like, I could go get like a McDonald's French fry or something along those lines, but like, I literally couldn't get food. So I was forced, and that turned me into like this, you know, super healthy person. But now, if you go veg or vegan, and I guess, I don't know why I'm even bringing this up, but it's just like a caution that you can get caught up. You can still eat really shitty being a vegetarian.
You can live on carbs for sure. Fries, chips, all that stuff's vegan. So it's not hard to get sucked in. And now all the fake meats that are available everywhere. Yeah. So no, I know what you're saying. I know myself. I fell into a bit of because it was easy to make that stuff versus cutting up vegetables and trying to have a healthier meal. And I've made a shift in the last couple of weeks to really try to eat a lot healthier, because I noticed that with myself. I was stopping by, A&W while I was out for a Beyond Burger and stuff like that.
Right. And but we're as humans, like, we're lazy, and we're always going to go for what's easiest.
Convenience and quick. And,
exactly. So but I mean, I still think it's amazing what's happening, and even McDonald's is finally jumping on board after being, brutalized by PETA for a long time. Where they're releasing the McPlant, which, I mean, I think is just, it's all amazing, and you can see the shift happening, and it is too. It kind of circles back to your business. It's about people connecting to compassion more, and realizing that, like when I'm eating this, I'm taking a baby calf or whatever it may be from its mother, or I think people are just starting to see this. Like, I believe that probably in 100 years we're gonna look back and we're gonna be like, how the fuck do we ever allow ourselves to treat
the way
animals like
I
that?
think one of the biggest regrets will be the way that we treated animals for so long. We can't sustain what we're doing now. No. And social media is right now is what's making the big difference, because it's in everyone's face. All the stuff we never saw before, because you wouldn't necessarily go on Google and search out these things, but now you're scrolling through your news feed and it's more in your face. And I think it's huge for the movement, for everything. It's just making a huge difference.
And just the connectedness of us all is making us more aware. And Dr. David Hawkins is a guy that I've studied all his work, and it's kind of the basis around all my coaching. And my mentor studied underneath him. And I was watching a lecture of his recently, and he said, and this lecture was recorded like probably in 2005 or something along those lines, and he said, you are 1,000 times more likely now to be able to reach enlightenment than you were 50 years ago, because of the way the information is traveling, and it's just your access to it all, right? Yep. Before you had to go and find a guru and go into India and become a monk to become enlightened, and now it's like literally you can become enlightened on your couch if you really start digging into it, right? And I think the same thing's happening with the shift to plant-based, and I really think that eventually the technology is going to come around and we're all going to be there. And now you're always going to have the people that are hunters and all that, and for me, and let me get your opinion on this. For me, I've kind of like let go of all positionality with regards to vegetarianism, veganism. Like before, if people asked me why I was veg, it would be like, I used to say, because I don't want to get cancer, right? And I was like, that is just like a very forceful statement, right?
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, and then what would I get back from the meat eaters and everything was, well, blah, 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 where's your protein? And it was just like force versus force. So now I don't judge anyone anymore. I don't, I just, people really truly ask, like, why do you do that? And they really want to know, then I'll tell them truthfully. And usually my answer is just that's what I love to do, right? And then they don't have anything to say about it. And I also respect their position. I actually believe that probably the healthiest diet you could probably eat is a vegan diet where you do incorporate a little bit of fish, every now and then. Yeah, right. And that's where I've come to, like, because I'm to this place where I'm open, right? That I'm open to receiving any information. I'm not held on to the position of being veg or being vegan. I'm open to like all sources of information. Yeah. And the thing is, for me now, it's like, the funny thing about me is, like, when I went veg for the health reasons, right? Yeah. Like I could just see, my business partner put me in a documentary, and it's called Voyage to Betterment, where it's like, he basically took my blood tests and they said, okay, these are before he put me on the diet. He said, these are your risk of getting diabetes, cancer, heart disease if you continue living the way you are. And at that point, I was like 30 pounds overweight. I was eating meat at every single meal.
Every meal, yeah.
Right. And so then after a month, I had lost 25 pounds, and they retook the blood test, and like all of my percentages of those risk factors had dropped by over 50%. Right. And it was just like, there was no going back. Right. Yeah. And it was supposed to be a 1 month experiment. And once he showed me that, I was like, well, I'm never going to eat meat ever again, right? And then later for me, it came into this, I don't know, maybe it happened because I wasn't eating all the hormones of animals anymore. I don't know, but I just started becoming more compassionate and loving. And then I was like, now I'm doing it for the animals as well. Mm-hmm. So even if I do get introduced to information that I believe is probably closer aligned with the truth, meaning vegan with eating fish, I'm not going to eat fish because it's just like, it's unethical to me, right? So now that's where I'm like, I'm going to find ways to adjust my diet to make sure that it's ethical.
Yeah. Actually, I'm hearing that more and more of people that went for various reasons and then found the compassion sort of after. And I find that really interesting. You're, I think, the third person recently that I've heard. One was, honestly, it was James Aspie. I was watching him talk online, and he said, it wasn't that I was just this huge animal lover. It was more, I think for him, he said it was more what he found as right and wrong, but it wasn't because he loved animals. And then it was after that he found that real compassion and realize that. But absolutely, environmental and health are two very strong reasons for people to go vegan.
Yes.
But I do think the compassion is always there, and if you don't go for that reason, it does definitely come into play when you realize the difference you're making and start really thinking about it. And that's what the farm's there for, really, just for people to meet the animals and see them in a different light. That's what it's there for.
Right. So like perfect transition. So let's talk about Charlotte's Freedom Farm. That is essentially an animal rescue. And you said you had mentioned you had started out in a smaller animal rescue originally.
Yeah. So quickly. So in 2013, it was an adoption-based rescue that I started. It was called Moggy Cat Rescue, and eventually switched over to Moggy's Mission. But we adopted out over 1,000 cats, dogs, small animals, birds. And that's all, with the help of having my 3 stores, and it was all fundraised. And I still do Moggy, but it's absolutely something that I've toned down. There will always be animals that I take in that need a home, but I'm really focusing on Charlotte's at this point because that's where I really feel like I can make more of a difference. Yeah.
So for people that don't know, that are just listening, what is Charlotte's Freedom Farm? What do you guys do?
So Charlotte's is an animal sanctuary. So the animals that come to live at Charlotte stay forever. We are mostly a farm animal sanctuary, but absolutely have dogs and cats and some rabbits and a guinea pig as well. Bit of everything. So at this point, there's over 150 animals on the farm. That is made up of quite a few birds. I think we have 40-something ducks at this point. Right, So there was a huge situation this summer where we ended up taking in a lot of ducks. Yeah. So, Charlotte's is a sanctuary, and so we take in animals from a lot of them are through the livestock industry. We take in orphan animals that are actually, in fact, bred to be meat sometimes. We took in a pig last week who actually fell out of a transport truck on the 407.
Oh, my God.
So he went to another sanctuary. They got him fixed up, neutered him, and then he came to live at Charlotte's. So I look at that guy. I'm like, you have no idea how lucky you are, dude. And the whole point of Charlotte's is to just provide a home for these animals and to share their story, and just let people come and meet them and meet a cow and a pig and a sheep and a goat in an environment where they're friendly and just living their best life, and then really let people see their personality and spend some time with them and then make their own decisions. I mean, we don't even, when people come for tours, we're not throwing facts at them and telling them to go vegan at all. We're just saying, here, meet these amazing animals, and knowing that, it's hard to meet Norman, the calf that we bottle fed from 2 weeks old, and then go the same day and grab a burger. Like, it's just, it's hard once you realize how freaking cool he is and like sweet and loving and cute, and it's, so that's what the farm is there for. We're not there to push anything on it. It's just to show people how these animals should live and could live, and then just the personalities, and like every goat is different. They all have names. They all, I can close my eyes and I can tell you which goat has come up to me. Just they're so different.
Yeah.
So
and I think the other thing is that they're conscious, and they do suffer, and they do hurt, and they do feel.
They feel fear. I think that is a big thing. When you see fear in an animal, it's the same fear that you've seen in a human or a dog or a cat, and it's no different. And they feel that, and like they feel all the same things, and you see it. They feel happiness and joy. I see them hopping around happy, but when the vet's there and we're catching them, I also sometimes see that fear, and I think, like they feel it all, and they're just all so different with their different personalities. And I just think it's so sad how sort of uneducated we are on farm animals, and how there's really nowhere else where you can go and see a farm animal in an environment where he's safe forever. The big difference between a petting zoo and a sanctuary. So, these guys you come to the farm and they're there forever. And I think that's big too.
And so what do you guys do there? Do you guys do tours and stuff? Or,
I'm COVID. I'm sure we'll talk about the fire too a little, but so this summer we didn't, because I moved, bought a new farm, and then there was a fire in the barn, and then with COVID, So we did some goat yoga classes this summer, which those are always successful.
Yeah.
And it ends up being goat, pig, cat, cow, everything yoga, right? All the animals come and just join right in the party.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that stuff's fun, but we really didn't do the tours and the classroom stuff. Like other years we've had at the old farm, we had like university classes come out for the day, and we really want to get into more education stuff. And that is the plan for 2021.
Oh, okay.
So to do a lot more tours and stuff. So, and the farm will be ready. We've had construction going on and stuff, and it was a new farm that I had to completely get ready to move all these animals over. It was 6 months where I owned the old farm and the new farm, and we were moving animals over. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So your business at Pet Value has like provided you the freedom and the ability to, follow kind of like a deeper passion.
Absolutely. I'm living my dream, and it took years to get here for sure, but I knew what I wanted, and the goal was to get the stores to a point where and to have it where I can, if someone called me this, like when I leave here, if someone calls and says, I need you to come rescue an animal, I can drop what I'm doing and go. Like I've set up myself where I'm busy, but I can at any moment, if one of my animals gets sick or I need to rescue an animal, and I mean, that's my dream. That's my favorite. Yeah. Getting a call, my heart gets going. I'm like, okay, we're off.
Right.
I love rescuing animals. So.
Yeah, and I think that's that's ultimately the be all end all, is getting connected with what you truly want to do. And actually, I just saw a recent video that I thought was really interesting. It's by this guy Hans Wilhelm. I follow him on YouTube. He's I don't know where he's from, but he's got an accent, and he starts every video with, "Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm." It's pretty funny. But anyways, though, he was talking about passion, and he was kind of breaking passion down, saying like, yeah, it's okay, it's great to be passionate, but it's got to be about something that is bigger than yourself, because the Latin word, or I don't know, I've got this wrong, for passion is like sacrifice. And it's like, we don't want to get passionate about making money, or passionate about self-serving things, because you're going to set yourself up for failure, right? And you're going to set yourself up for burnout or losing or whatever it may be. But when you have, I guess, if there's not a better word, if you have passion for doing something that is above you, you're going to be fueled with all the energy and all the support. Also, like if your purpose is about how to make more money, or how to get into better shape to get more girls, let's say, for example, or whatever it may be, and it's self-serving, you're going to be in this state of force at all times, because you're fighting against the universe. But if you shift that, and Hawkins had this scale of consciousness that he created, and anything below the level of 200 was the state of force. But when you get to flow states, which is anything above 200, you get the support of the universe, so you're not working against it anymore. And I think that's what you're kind of experiencing. And I think the other thing too, to just point out, and I'm just talking for you here because I want to reiterate, but the other thing I want to point out is that you had a clear vision, kind of, maybe it wasn't clear, but it was like you knew what you wanted to do with your life and how you wanted to create free time, so you had more time to rescue animals. And you got to tell God, the universe, whatever it is for you, what it is you want. I
consider myself so lucky that it's been easy in a sense that I've just known what I want. Like I have animals, little, like by 2 years old, the whole family was like, okay, animals. Like I was rescuing dragonflies at the cottage and making little vet clinics out of cardboard boxes. Like it's just, so it was easy in the sense where I've always known what I wanted to do, and that was to rescue lots of animals. And
you're doing it.
And that's what I'm doing, exactly. And when you talk about support, the universe and just the world, when you're doing something wonderful and selfless, the support is everything. And
and people can see, and people can see right through whether you're doing it for real or not. Like, like if you were doing this to like, oh, this is going to promote my stores, like people would see right through that bullshit. They know you're genuine, and that's why you get the support that you do, right? So let's talk about the fire that you had this year, which was tragic, but I'm all about recontextualizing tragedy, and I think that's exactly what happened in this instance.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. So I'm absolutely the worst night of my life, hands down. I will always be. So we had a fire in the barn that they determined was a spontaneous combustion from a bale of hay, which can happen if hay is baled with moisture in the middle. It can sit in the heat and create a chemical reaction that will eventually just ultimately spontaneously combust and light a fire. So we have a donkey, Bernard, who is an absolute hero. He wanders the property as sort of a protector. He spotted the fire instantly. I don't know if he heard the animals or what, and ran to... so I have a girl that lives on the property that helps with the animals. At the time, she was staying in the guest room. She's now staying out in a trailer that we put out there for her. But so she was in the guest room. He ran to her window and woke her up. He hawed at her window till she got up. Amazing. And ultimately, she saved 80 animals that all would have perished in the fire. So we did lose some animals. There was a pony, a dog, 5 cats, and some ducks, chickens, and quail that passed away. So, I mean, talk about a lot of emotions in one night. Yeah. I mean, I barely remember the couple weeks after. I mean, it was just full out. I just walked around but this is where support is. Like, people I don't even know were showing up at the farm to help. Like, Christine and I just walked around in a trance almost, and everywhere I looked, there were people making temporary fencing, moving stuff, moving animals. Yeah. It was amazing. And then we had support worldwide. Like, people were sending money and support from like Japan, Germany, Australia, South America. It was like nothing I had ever seen. Right. It was just we're so sad, but I just felt like surrounded by like this massive amount of support. Sorry. Might get emotional.
It's getting me too. Yeah, no, like, I mean, like, what an amazing story. And like, even though it was out of tragedy, you know, it's just like the power that can come from when we're all connected to, you know, one mission, you know, and helping other people, you know, is just unbelievable. And, you know, this is what you're going to see when you get aligned with, you know, something that is not about just you, you know, you're going to see that. It's just like, and it's so much more than you ever would give. Ever. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that's like a big theme of like everything that I've done is like, it's in giving that you receive, you know, and then you don't really know when it's going to come or whatever, but when it does, it's going to flow like a flood. And I think that's exactly what you experience, right? Yeah, and, absolutely. Yeah. So I think it probably opened your eyes to like the amount of support and love and exactly. It was overwhelming. Yeah. Just to realize how many people ultimately had our back and were just so supportive of what we were doing. So I mean, at this point, there's a new barn. We're gonna do a huge tribute on it to the animals that passed. And we have moved forward, and I mean, it is insane how much sort of good and change has come from it. Where we just have so many more people have found the farm too, and we have new volunteers, and I just see how it changes their lives too. Like, the impact that the farm makes is so much bigger than on the animals, and like the volunteers, like it gives them this place to come with like-minded people, and I've seen it really change people's lives, and I've had them say to me like, this is my happy place. Like the farm, I just look to the future and think the amount that we can do with that place and the impact that I can make on people's lives and animals' lives is just massive. Yeah. So. Right. So, so 2021 is going to be the completion of the barn, everything. Yeah. It's already happening, right? So. Yeah, the barn was built quick. The animals are living in there. Yep. So, but we're always taking in more animals. In the last week, 2 pigs, a llama, and a goat. All I took in. So it's being sort of like there aren't enough sanctuaries and there's too many animals. Yep. Especially pigs. I've taken in 19 pigs since January. Holy There's Jesus. This massive problem that nobody really even knows exists, but pigs are 4 pounds when they're adopted, and you think you can have them live in your house and to be this great little pet, but 97% of them end up being rehomed. So the other local sanctuary, I think they told me is about 65 pigs they've taken in this year. Oh my God. So between them and myself, we've taken in
like 80 to 90 pigs.
But
and
so
that's in 1 year. And we can't sustain this. So
yeah. And people adopt pigs thinking that they're going to stay this time.
Yeah.
Because is there such thing?
There's no such thing as a mini pig.
Yeah.
They flat out don't exist. 100 pounds is really your smallest, but they grow for 3 to 5 years.
Oh my
If you look, that's why I say to anybody, if you think you can have a pig indoors, just come and meet them.
Yeah.
We had Regan in the house till she was 12 weeks old, and she lifted a tile in the kitchen and started chewing the paint on the cupboards. And I said, "You're gonna go meet Tofu," and off she went. And she's happier outside too.
Yeah.
They are farm animals. They want to root,
Yeah,
not on your carpet. They want to root in the dirt.
Right.
So no, it's over 90%. They say about 97% of potbelly pigs are rehomed.
And they live a long time too.
Yeah. Oh, like 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's hard to find a vet. It's hard to find someone to do their feet.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stop the breeding of the mini pigs.
Yeah. And that's the things that you start getting connected to of like what the challenges are. Because I have my former business partner, he bought his girlfriend a pig, and it was so cute. And when it was a little thing, but that thing, like, I don't know how he is now. I haven't talked to him in a while, but that thing became like a terror. Like, and it would charge you. And it was smart, super smart. They taught it all these tricks, but it was like very food driven. And I remember it ate like their laptop cord and chewed drywall.
It's like having a puppy, right? So they get bored and they will root up your carpet, your baseboards, your floor, and they're so strong with their nose. They can lift furniture,
Yeah, I was scared of that thing.
Yeah, I believe it.
yeah, because it was aggressive, But I'm sure they moved out to a farm as well now, so I think that the pig is running around free now, which is probably really good for it. But that's the things that you start getting connected to. When you start doing this stuff, you start realizing, oh, there's this problem. There's this
all these things that had just never crossed my mind that I'm realizing are issues now, and one of them is that there's just nowhere for farm animals to go. All the sanctuaries in Ontario are full.
Right.
I'm pretty full. At this point, I would need more land to keep taking in animals.
And is that something that you see happening? Or?
Yeah, actually, I'm hoping to buy the neighbor's house and land pretty soon. Actually,
nice.
We've talked to them. So and that gives me a second house too, which is nice because at this point, I need someone to live on the, and I need someone else to live there.
Okay.
I would feel very stuck there without having that site. If you look at most sanctuaries, they have a live-on caregiver or just another body. Social media, you see 10% of what goes on, but every day stuff happens, whether it's a fence breaking or just little things that just always, we always have to keep an eye. You can't leave that many animals for 10 or 12 hours. And, there's just little issues that can go wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you have to go write a book. I mean, no, you already did write a book.
Yeah. Oh, my kid's book. Yeah, Rooster's kid's book.
Yeah, Rooster. Yeah, narrated by Rooster. But I mean, like, what a journey though that you've been on.
It is amazing, and there are some wonderful stories. There's funny stories, and there's it's an adventure for sure.
Yeah,
I know. I've often thought I should be writing everything down for a book one day because.
It was such
you'd laugh and you'd cry.
Yeah. What's your take? So you were originally from Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you moved to Windsor to open up Pet Values here? Is essentially what it was?
So I had come for college, and then I moved back to Toronto for 5 years.
Oh, you came to Windsor
came back. So I came to St. Clair. So I knew, and I had some friends here.
Yeah, right.
For me, a big draw was being able to live in the country and not have a 3-hour drive into work.
Right.
I mean, Toronto.
Yeah.
And if to have land, you'd be hours outside Toronto.
Right,
so it really, for what I wanted to do, it was never an option to stay in Toronto. So, and Windsor, I've always liked Windsor.
Oh, people rip on Windsor, but I think Windsor's like the hidden gem of Canada. It's
exactly.
Like best climate. We got Detroit right next
door.
Exactly. It's really great. And no traffic. I mean, housing's cheap.
There is no traffic here. When you've lived in Toronto and someone uses the word traffic in Windsor, you just kind of chuckle.
Yeah, right. Like our traffic is like 5 minutes. Toronto is like 5 hours. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So no, I think that's really good. So what do you think are your biggest challenges moving forward?
I'm just trying to decide what to do next at this point. I feel that like I'm at that point where I'm ready to make the next step, and I've looked at the option of another store, but we sort of touched on this earlier. There's a little bit of a moral thing with the pet store and the sanctuary. So
Yeah.
I really just want to grow Charlotte's and do more tours and education stuff and have the schools come out and the different groups and the girl. And I mean, right now
Could that
we're
be
doing,
your full time intention? Like
I would love for Charlotte's to be able to at least hit the point where it can pay for itself.
Yeah.
So we're considered a nonprofit. We raise about 50% of what I spend, but I go above and beyond with everything. Like my little goat went to Guelph for a CT scan on his brain when he had a seizure. Like when an animal comes to the farm, there's nothing I won't do for them at that point. It doesn't ever come down to financial. So it's my choice for sure to go above and beyond sometimes.
Right.
And that's where, I mean, there's no doubt we fundraise about 50% of what is spent. And the goal would be to get there.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, it's fine.
What do you think that it is like in you that has been willing to like sacrifice, like I don't think you're living you're not living in the poorhouse or anything, but like, it seems to me like all of your additional extra income goes into this farm.
Yeah, well,
like what is it?
I
Like
still like to. It makes me the happiest. I guess it's having them there, and I don't even blink when it comes to spending money on the vet bills and stuff because it's just like they make me, and I want them to be happy and to do well and. Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky that I'm at a place where financially I don't have to worry every time I make decisions on who gets what care, and that's where I know I ultimately I did it right. Like, and I run Charlotte's like a business, and it's very. I mean, I waited to take in this many animals until I knew I was at a point where I could. If I couldn't afford this many animals on my own, I would never have taken them in. So, I mean. Yeah, but
it's just. But I think
what
maybe.
Else? I guess I think just what else would I do with the money that I make?
Yeah, you're not like you don't want to buy like Louis Vuitton
I don't need.
purses.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of stuff for me. I don't need a big house, so I have what I need, and that's what brings me joy. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm obviously kind of putting you on the spot here, but it's like,
okay.
We kind of in this society get so caught up with like the materialistic world of drive a nice car, live in a big house, have fancy clothes, these kinds of things, go for nice dinners. And I mean, for me, like looking at it from an observer, it just seems like you just connected to like what really, really makes you happy.
Yeah.
Not like didn't buy into all the BS that we've been fed that you need to live in a big house and
no. Actually, big house is too much to clean.
Yeah.
But no, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I still like having nice things. When it comes to the animals that like buying. So I bought her a little remote control car. I gotta tell you, it made me as happy as if I had bought myself a little remote control car. She has a little Power Wheels. We decorated it, and then I remote her around the farm. And people think I'm absolutely crazy, but I had so much fun with it. And it's just so. It's just. I guess it's just what I love.
Yeah, that's it. I think that sums it up. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap it up with that. I mean. Just got like such a great story, and like for people that listen to this podcast for like the business side of it too, it's just just getting connected to what you want to do and then just doing it,
having a goal, and figure out how to be happy and what will make you happy, and figure out how to get there because it's possible. And I so many people haven't found that, and I feel so lucky that I have, and I want this for everybody when it comes down to it. Like, you gotta love what you do. You have to wake up and be happy every day. You have one life and it flies by. So that's what I say to any of my friends. Like, you really got to figure out what will make you happy, and then let's get there. I mean, you can always get there.
Buying into all the programming.
Exactly. Yeah. Find out what you want, and who cares if people like. There are people I say I have 150 animals and they can't handle it. Like, it's that is just insane. Right. But who cares, right? It's what makes me happy.
That's it. So maybe that's what it is, though. Maybe you have just gotten to a place where you're free from the judgment of others.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a great place to get.
How'd you do that?
I I joke that I just swear one day I walked through a doorway and said, you know what? It's really just dumb to care what other people think. And I'm not going to be embarrassed by anything anymore. And I wish I knew what made that switch, but I don't. Like, I could go out and fall in front of 50 people right now and just stand up and laugh and pick up my dog and keep going. Like, I don't feel that that embarrassment and any of that. And you don't worry about, I think it's just, you really have to realize you have one life, and it's time, as you get older too, time goes by a lot quicker, and just enjoy it. Why waste time worrying or being embarrassed or focusing on things like that? Just find out what makes you happy and
or focus on what other people
think.
Or what other people want,
or what other people want. Exactly.
Just do you.
It doesn't matter.
Cool.
So
no, I think that's it. I mean, that's kind of like your hidden superpower. It's like you just don't care. It's like, you care, but you don't.
I know, but
you don't, like, you're gonna do you, and you're not worried about what anyone else has to say.
I know what makes me happy. So
yeah, when you get really connected to that, that's kind of like where I was for a long time. I was so driven by money and success, and then when I started to break down the reasons why I was driven by those things, then I started getting connected to, and I was free of them. I was like, okay, well, now what do I want to do? Right? Now that I got rid of all that shit, I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? And that's when I, got into helping people and spiritual growth and all these things. And now it's like, same thing, energy and all that comes through. And like when people say, why are you doing this? It's like, well, it's just no question. It's like, this is what I'm going to do.
This is what I want to do.
And I do forever.
Helping people is and
is that the way you feel too? Like, this is what you'll be doing for the rest of your life?
Absolutely. I'm the happiest person I know, and when you just know that what you're doing is what you're meant to do, it is, Yeah, that's a good quote. I'm the happiest person I know. I want this for everybody. I really do. I want people to find what'll make them happy and get there. Definitely. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was awesome. We'll have to do a yearly thing, get you back on. And you guys have to get out to the farm. We do. We're going to come 100%. We're going to come out there. Pick a nice day for sure. We will do that. All right. So thanks for taking time to watch the podcast. Lauren, thanks for coming. Awesome having you here. Great message. Great story. Don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And we'll see you again next Wednesday.